little bit of a wait until, okay, I think we're in it now. Hello, everybody. For the next live stream, I'm going to figure out how to do an intro video. But for now, hi, I'm Lauren Shippen. I am the creator of the Bright Sessions and the voice of Sam, and this is a 10-year anniversary stream for the Bright Sessions, which is kind of crazy. And I'm here with the original cast, and I'm just so excited to be here and talk about the first season, which we recorded many, many moons ago. If you somehow found your way here and you don't know what the Bright Sessions is, it's an audio drama about people with supernatural abilities in therapy, and it was started just in my little West Hollywood apartment with these three amazing people reading all 9 scripts of the first season in one afternoon, which was quite a lot. But before we get into sort of that whole thing, I'd love to have them introduce themselves. So Julia.
Hey everyone, I'm Julia Morizawa. I'm the voice of Dr. Bright. I just got really self-conscious by my hey everyone.
I was like, well, we've done anything like this.
Fail already. The wave, the hey. All right, pass it to Briggon.
Hey everyone, I'm Briggon Snow, voice of Caleb. Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Lori, and I voice Chloe.
And also made all of the beautiful art for the original run of the Bright Sessions.
I know, when you sent me that first logo, I was like, oh, I love it so much. I mean, I loved all the art that I did, but that first logo was really...
Yeah, I really love it. And yeah, I mean, that was really the vibe. The first season was all of us just kind of putting this thing together. And as I said, we did a table read of all 9 episodes of the first season in one afternoon. And the episodes aren't long, but it was a long day. And I know that's what I remember most about recording season 1. But you guys, are any things that pop out about making season 1 10 years ago?
Can I address one of the comments I see really quickly?
Please.
Yeah.
It's a head of fish sticks, which is a Fortnite character that I made out of paper mache for Halloween. I just wanted to get that off the table so we're not thinking about it while we go through it. Just turn it out a little bit.
Appreciate that.
That's probably worse.
Oh my God. And also, Alistair, I'm planning on getting the OG logo as a tattoo. That's amazing.
Wow.
The fact that people have Bright Sessions tattoos is wild to me.
Crazy.
So wild.
Okay, but go on about season 1.
Yes. Any sort of memories that jump out making those first 9 episodes?
I remember your room.
Okay.
Did you have a folding table? It was almost like a TV dinner table, or it was a small little table with a blue Yeti, and then
one mic.
Julia would be right there. Yeah.
Yep.
And you'd be
that was Anna's blue Yeti
in the corner. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I remember when you got the shotgun mics, it was a big day to be we have new
upgrading.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a season 2 upgrade.
Wow.
But yeah, the first season was all on that blue Yeti. Yeah, with me just I think sitting on the floor as we use sort of stools on either side of a Target folding table with the blue Yeti just on the table. And that was the recording setup. That I do remember because I have pictures. If I have a picture of it, I can remember it.
I mean, I remember getting the initial pitch from you, hey, would you, I don't remember what it was, but I feel like the vibe of it was very much I've been working on this thing, so wondering if you would want to be a part of it. No pressure. It was very no pressure. And I remember it came through a Facebook message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just remember. Oh, and I remember I wasn't familiar with audio fiction at all yet, and so you told me to listen to Welcome to Night Vale, and I did that. And I remember doing my homework and listening to that, and then also I remember getting married around that same year. No, honeymooning.
Okay, yeah, I think I kind of remember that. And what's strange is I knew you and Briggon from class, but we didn't know each other super well. Whereas Anna, you and I were already super, super tight.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that because I know that you guys were tight, and I remember getting that Facebook message, and we were in class, we knew each other, but I don't think we hung out. I don't think
I feel I just had a flashback to meeting you, Briggon. I feel I meeting you at that big read through must have been, right?
Yeah.
Because I just remember
probably.
being wow, this guy really like has thought about the scripts. Like I feel like you had thoughtful things to say about it like right from the get-go, and you were really excited.
We're gonna
And maybe I'm making that up.
That sounds like Briggon.
I really was just like, oh God, like I haven't even read these. I don't know what we're doing. Like, and you were just so prepared. And the other thing I think I remember is like, Lauren, I think you were like my first friend I ever had that was like making something, like producing.
Really?
I think that was like the first time I remember someone just being like, I have this creative idea and I'm gonna do it. And like, that is what I think has had the most impact on me. Is like I just loved being like, yeah, she made it in her bedroom, and now she's got a lawyer that's like making deals, and she has to copyright it. Blah blah blah. I just remember being like blown away.
Like the lawyer is like the.
That was the thing that I was like, she's got a lawyer who's helping her write the contracts for like. It was just like this little creative idea that you had. You were just like boom 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 boom. Like here's the steps, and I'm gonna make it into a thing. And like I don't think I had seen someone do that before.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, you really
inspiring.
encouraged me. Like, I mean, because I wrote the first episode in 2014 and then like just didn't do anything with it for like a year. And then in the spring of 2015, I got sick and it was a whole thing. And you were there in the emergency room with me. And
Well, I was thinking about that the other day too, about your whole journey. Yeah.
And then after that, I was just sort of like, well, why the hell? Like, why not? I'll just do it. And then I think, Briggon, to answer your question, like, yeah, we'd been in class together for like about a year at that point. This was like July of 2015. And I just like every time that I like watched you and Julia do scenes in class, I was like, oh my God, like these people are so good. And like, I was like working on these characters and I was just like, yes, here they are.
I always think about that acting class because like when I moved to LA, I wanted to go to that acting class, and I like maxed out my credit cards to like go to that school. Just because I like wanted to be a part of it. And I look back on it and all the opportunities that I've had like since are really truly because of the Bright sessions, and I wouldn't have met you if not for that. Like, it's just so crazy to me that it all panned out that way.
It's
but
crazy those moments in your life that like, you're like, oh my God, the fork of if I hadn't done this wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be here. Yeah.
Because the initial offer and thought was like, I was like, I'm not booking anything. Nobody's giving me any roles. And here's like this really talented person who's like, I want you in this thing. And I was like, I wanted to seem cool, but I think I responded with like, yes, please. Or
I screenshotted the Facebook message like ages ago, so I have it somewhere. And I think like you guys were both so down right away, despite the fact that I was like, yeah, I can't pay you. I have no idea what this thing is going to be, but all you have to do is show up and act. You don't have to memorize lines. You don't have to like, you're just going to have these scripts.
It was very low barrier to entry. Like you would have to actively hate a podcast to not want. You're like, yeah, sure. Why not? I think you were even like, it's like half an hour. Like the recording was so.
Recordings like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Like you could just hop in do your thing. Like
that's something I actually really remember from season 1 is initially someone asked in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you guys the only ones voicing in season 1? I don't remember. Yes, we were just the whole team in the first 9 episodes. Original 4. And like so it was like I wanted to do 9 episodes, 3 sessions for 3 characters, right? With, of course, Dr. Bright being in each of the episodes. And I remember like when I first scheduled recording, I was like, okay, well, we'll just do like 1 recording session per episode. And then eventually we just batched them. We did everybody's first session as one session. And then we did like the other 2 episodes together because it took like an hour because those early episodes were like 15 minutes. So it was just like, it was really easy to make and then like put together. And then do you guys remember if and when you realized that like people were listening to it?
This is, I mean, is this a 10-year? Are we doing a 10-year thing right now?
Yeah. It's been 10 years.
Crazy. I just remember 10 years ago. I'm like,
I remember one piece of fan art. And I think it was drawn on like a Post-it note or something. It was very, I may be remembering this wrong, but the one that pops out was this little Post-it note piece of art. And I think you shared it with me or us, Lauren. And I remember freaking out because I didn't even think that was a possibility that people would like engage with it in that way. And then it just kept like happening. And then when I think when I started really getting like messages, that's when it was like, oh, people like not only know the show, but like have done enough to like know that I'm part of it and like to ask me about it. That was very surreal.
Totally shame on me, but the first time I think I really remember being like, oh damn, was when we went to PodCon. Which was like years into it.
Oh.
But we were at PodCon and we had a booth and and we had a line. And we had people that wanted to take pictures with us. And I remember being like, oh my God. Like
that wasn't PodCon.
That was Emerald City.
Comic-Con, which was before.
Yeah.
Right.
No. I've never been to Emerald City Comic-Con. I've only been to PodCon.
Was it just the three of us?
I've only been
to PodCon. Just the three of us? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Emerald City. Okay, that makes sense then. Because Emerald City was the first one that we did in 2017.
So even later, what I'm saying is I'm just like 4 years into it. I'm like, people really like this.
Julia, do you remember? I think it was Emerald City. We were like
someone walking behind us
and like recognize our voices. And I remember
asking if it was us.
We like played it kind of cool, and then when they left,
super cool, kind of like super cool. We played it super cool, and then we went away, and we're like, oh my God. Yeah. It was
I don't think I've told any of you this because it just literally happened this past week. But I am like back in acting class. I'm taking a dialects class, like just for fun to like learn some like dialects.
Oh, cool.
And like it's like 6-person class at like a local theater here in Seattle. And like I showed up like, and I happened to be wearing a Bright Sessions sweatshirt, which like I didn't really realize walking into it, and someone recognized it. Like someone had listened to the show back in 2015, which was just sort of like kind of crazy that like all these years later, like it still is something that people are.
I texted you about the screenwriting retreat that I went to last fall, right? And somebody, I was wearing the shirt, and somebody was like, after a class we were in together, she pulled me aside. She's like, "Oh, do you listen to the Bright Sessions?" I was like,
I am the Bright Sessions.
You know, you have that moment where you're like, do I just say yes, play it off, or do I say, oh, I'm actually the voice of Dr. Bright?
No, I've never had that moment, Julia. I would be like, I am the Bright Sessions.
That was like
listen to it. I've never had the moment where I was like, maybe I'll be cool about this.
I think it was like maybe around the first season, maybe into the second season, and I was driving Uber. I was like working Uber, and there was a guy in the backseat. He goes, "Your voice sounds like a character that like on a show that I listen to." And I was like, "Don't." I was like, "What's it called?" He's like, "The Bright Sessions." I was like, "Yeah."
I remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, we'll get to your destination in 15 minutes. Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of t-shirts, someone asked, does Briggon Shirt say, "I need you there to keep me green"? And yes, I think that was one of our first pieces of merch back in like 2016, 2017.
It was like Stay Strange.
Yeah.
I need you there
and then
to keep me green. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Please keep commenting in the chat, ask us questions in the chat. But we did get a lot of questions in advance, so I do want to make sure that we get to some of them. Actually, first I wanted to share a listener message that we got because I think it actually perfectly ties into sort of like this far-reaching thing that the Bright Sessions has had. So this is a message from someone named Damien, which is very coincidental. But Damien says, "Not really a question, just wanted to share with y'all that I met my boyfriend because I commented something nice on a Bright Sessions fic he wrote in 2018. We started dating a couple years ago, but only managed to meet in person this week because we live in different countries. But yeah, it just seemed neat how this recap Bright Sessions thing coincided with a major relationship milestone of ours."
Wow.
Which I just love. They met through fanfic, which is for the Bright Sessions, which is so nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that. Okay, so our first question from Megan Lee. How did recording the Bright Sessions look similar or different to previous projects you had worked on? Did it change your process as actors? I mean, this was all of our first time doing audio drama, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing any audio at all. I think
like, what was it like?
I think I just like, it was the first time I really learned that like what you think is happening is not happening. Like I learned that you kind of have to, for audio, play it up a little bit more. You know what I mean? You can't, if you ground it all the way, it sounds like nothing. And so I feel like it was but we recorded it like live, right? With each other.
Yeah.
And I think that is such, like when I do VO auditions in my room alone now, I'm like, it's hard to, I'm like, okay, where am I coming from? Because when you record like that with each other, it's a lot more give and take. I'm getting stuff off of you. Like, yeah.
Totally.
It's been like years since I listened to season 1, and I to prep for this, I like dove back in, and something like struck me because the show expanded so much. And what I really, really loved about this first season is it reminded me of our acting class, our scene work, where it's just two people. It is so simple, two people having a conversation. And weirdly, even after all the seasons that we've done, going back to that, I kind of loved that even more. Just sort of the simplicity of like that honesty, like listening to you, Julia, or Anna and Julia, like just listening to you guys. There's something really authentic and
It's
really, really
raw.
nice.
Yeah.
And it's I love that. And I think that it reminded me of our acting class that we were in that we always talk about. But yeah.
I also think it kind of ruined me for certain other voiceover jobs. The
Mm.
ones where they just tell you to do your one line by yourself 3 different ways and then move on to the next line, and there's no scene partner, even though you're responding to somebody else's lines. And I'm just like, how am I supposed to act like this?
I've heard that Bob's Burgers records, and I don't know if they still do, but I heard that Bob's Burgers, at least when they started, recorded and like all together, which you can tell there's a chemistry, I think, to when you do that. Like,
It's funny. I was just talking to somebody about that exact thing with Bob's Burgers the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing as like when you're auditioning for regular stuff. If you can have a reader who's an actor, it just is like, it's really hard to act in a vacuum, no matter what you're doing. And you know what I mean? So it's great working with.
We maintained that through all 7 seasons. Like the college tapes, the season 7 was recorded during COVID lockdown. It was recorded during 2020. And so like we were all at home, but we were at least all on like Zoom together. Like almost everything was recorded with everybody playing off of each other. Cause it's like, I think that's the thing that like made the biggest impression on me, is because even in like the little bit of like film, TV stuff that I had done, like sometimes when you're doing, you know, your sort of medium close up or whatever, like the person on the other side of the camera reading the lines is like not the actor who's playing the role. Right. And it's like, so I think now like, having that kind of connection is like, so
do you remember when we started having to do 3 mics? That was such a drama. Like being like, oh God, we're going to have 3 people, was just like, it seemed like tech hell.
Editing it was a nightmare.
Oh God. Yeah.
It's crazy how far technology has progressed since then, right? Like there's so many, like we could totally have recorded the whole thing remote, no problems now. It's just like
but that never would have even occurred to me back then.
No, never. No, nothing was online. Yeah, it was like
okay, a question from Skylar. What was your process for getting into character in season 1, if you had one? Because it was very casual. We just kind of like roll up and go into my bedroom and record an episode.
Julia made me feel like I did no prep. Julia,
I just remembered. I probably wrote an autobiography, didn't I?
You did. I still have never seen it.
I bet you I have it somewhere. That's what I do for everything. I write an autobiography.
I've now unlocked a memory in my head of the very first time that we recorded, Julia. You showed up with a binder with all of the scripts printed out. Yeah. And then also like a full like Dr. Bright like autobiography. Like I think that you had like annotations of all the scripts. And I remember like, and there's some questions about this later on that we'll get to, but I remember being like, okay, I want you to like, have all of that inside of you, but I don't necessarily, I don't think I want to know what you think yet. You know, it's like, I don't think cause like I was still figuring out who the character was. And like, I think eventually like we just started talking about her more. And so probably a lot of that stuff came in, but if you still have that, I'll look. Read it.
And also I have to say it was like through the Bright, I used to print out every script, and it was like through the process of like the Bright sessions. I mean, eventually we're just, I mean, when we record, we're reading off an iPad or a tablet, right, for sound purposes. And I finally got to the point where I was like, I don't need to like waste trees on this. Like it just took me, I have this specific memory. Must be season 2 because Charlie was there. But I remember we were scheduling something and I still had a hard copy planner in my purse, and I got made fun of, and Charlie started it, but I think the group kind of came on board because everybody else was like putting stuff into their iPhone, and I was over here like writing down the schedule.
I kind of remember that actually. Wow.
It took me a long time to get away from like everything on paper, everything. Yeah.
I still do it. There are certain things like my schedule. I like to write it on paper. I
both now.
I put the big things in the calendar, but like if it's just lists and things or just daily, like I have to write it down. Otherwise,
you were always mysterious to me in how you came in and did it, because I knew Lauren and I knew Julia.
Oh, I was just about to say, when Julia was like, I came in with an autobiography. I bet every episode is a cold read. Almost every episode is a cold read.
Though, is you would fly in and you would like be so great, and then you'd go and I'd be like, who's this person? Like I knew the process that Lauren and Julia had, but you would come in and I was just like, I think I remember being like intimidated early on in that like first season. But yeah.
Oh man. I think I was like, well, I'll just go in and listen to what's going on, which, is sometimes still my process. You can't always get away with it, but sometimes you're like, if I get too into this, I'm not going to be listening and responding.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I think
pretty far.
And like I wrote Chloe specifically for you. Like I added Chloe as a character because I wanted you to be in the show. And so like I hopefully wrote it so that it's like was pretty easy to like jump into.
It's just me. Yeah, it just felt a lot very close to me. Yeah.
But what about you, Briggon?
I think it was interesting because I'm trying to remember our early conversations. I was more worried that I wasn't going to sound like a teen boy. Like, and I was so terrified. I remember the first episode, it was like days before I got really sick. And so I went into that recording with like a little bit of a deeper voice. And I remember I was really, really in my head about it. And it was less about the character and it was more about like, can I be a believable, because I didn't have any voice over experience. So I didn't know that like, I didn't get that it could like translate. So I think I was more like on a technical aspect obsessed. And somebody said Marcus said baseball cap. I purposely, this is the dumbest thing in the world. I would put on like a baseball cap or like try and be like teen boyish just to like feel like I was in high school, which is funny because I don't think I ever wore hats in high school, but I was like, it's like the Steve Buscemi like
fellow kids.
Yeah.
I feel like hearing Julia's voice is what really got me into character the most.
Yeah.
Like when you hear Julia in the Dr. Bright cadence, like you're kind of like, oh yeah, I know where we are.
Yeah. I'm with you. And like I think I wrote Sam for me. Like I, she's all panic, no disco. Like, it was very easy for me to like tap into that. My mom got me this shirt like years ago. Hi mom. But I remember like and actually it's funny, I was just listening to this little, if you are an Atypical, these 2 bloopers from season 1 are already in our Discord, and for everyone else, they'll be released with season 2 because there were not enough bloopers to make just a season 1 blooper reel because there were only 2 of them. And actually, they both relate to kind of what we're talking about. The first one is me making Julia cry in the episode where Sam has a panic attack, and I just remember like that being like I think the sort of like first moment where I wasn't thinking about like what I needed to change in the script. I wasn't thinking about sort of like I wasn't like self-conscious about like making the thing good, and I was just like Julia is just like, I mean, all of you are such amazing scene partners that like, it was just like, oh, I'm in it. And it was like very intense. And then the other blooper is Briggon. You as Caleb, it's like, I had a really bad day at school, but like, it was like the first take and you're like, I had a really bad day at work. It's that like adult self like creeping in the teenage, which I thought was really fun.
Put the hat on tighter.
More hats. More hats.
Okay, this is a question from Amethyst. What was your favorite episode to record? And like we'll expand this past season 1, like just a favorite episode to record through the many seasons.
I mean, the one we did in studio with blocking. What was that? Season 3?
Season 3.
2 episodes.
Yeah. The season 3 finale, right? The safe house episodes.
Safe house.
Yeah. That was super cool with blocking. I don't think I've had an opportunity to do that specifically again. I mean, I've recorded in studio with other actors for audio projects, but not with the whole blocking and the whole, whatever, the tape that was on the floor where you stand based on the mic. Yeah, that was super cool.
And we all had to like face away from each other, which was weird. Like that was sort of the first time we experimented
Oh,
in the
yeah.
studio for Safe House for the season 3 finale, like 2 episodes.
I have like that was cool, and I loved when we did it. But I was in such a weird space because I was trying to like hold where Caleb was in that episode, and I was kind of like keeping myself away from everybody for the most part.
Yeah.
So I don't have like the cheeriest memory of that. I remember it being very cool, but I remember it was like very, very
Stressful.
intense. For me, the I don't know what episode it was, but I'll say 2 things. I have a memory in your room of like a bunch of us sitting around a table.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of us. And it was really funny. And like, it was really hard to get us to focus in that small room. Cause Andrew was thrown in the mix. I think we were doing like Gollum voices or like weird stuff like that.
Yes.
I made the mistake of sitting Philip and Andrew next to each other, and
there you go.
they were just like like they're two such like goofy, wonderful like people to have on set, but like the combination of them was like
so
wacky.
The weirdest thing is
you
like
feel
listening.
bad when I don't even rank.
No, I was gonna say like that's my favorite, I think, memory doing it. And then going back to listen to season 1, I actually love how much Caleb doesn't talk in his first episode. I love how short his answers are. I love how you wrote that. It's so he as he comes out of his shell throughout the seasons, he talks a lot more, and you gave him a lot more to do. But I love hearing Julia be like, so what'd you do at school today? Come on, Caleb, come on. And like just digging his feet in. It was really nice to listen to. It was different from the others, even from the second episode Caleb had.
Yeah. I've been doing some re-listening too, and it was that struck me as well. And actually, while we're on the subject of Caleb, Ghost Parade asks, was Caleb and Adam's romance planned from the beginning, or did that grow naturally as the story evolved? So it was planned from the beginning. I always knew, and actually, like I have an email from my sister because she was the one who she has a degree in psychology, and so she like read all the scripts to make sure that like I wasn't being incredibly irresponsible even when like Dr. Wright was being shady. And I remember when I sent her episode 2. Like, her email had some notes back, and then it was like in all caps, like, please tell me Caleb and Adam fall in love. And like right away, she knew kind of what I was going for. And I realized, Briggon, like, did you know that going into it? Like, what did I tell you? Do you have any idea?
We didn't even, I remember conversations, particularly with Julia, of being like, when we did the first season, we're like, I hope she writes more. Please write more, because we didn't know it was going to go past that first season. So even when you said we were going to do second season, we're like, what? So I wasn't even thinking that Adam was ever going to be a thing. I also didn't know that the show was going to expand in the way that it did. I thought it was always going to be like talking about people that are just off camera. So I mean, the way you wrote the first season, I was like, yeah, they're going to fall in love. This boy is so gay. Like, this is great. I love this. But I think I remember it was in season 2, and you're like, we're going to figure out who's going to play Adam. And we were like, okay, let's figure this out. And it was so crazy because long story short, I didn't know that was going to happen at all.
Well, and I didn't even, because, I mean, someone just asked, Paige just asked, did you have the whole Bright Sessions universe stories planned from the beginning as well? No, I did not. So, like, I kind of knew what was, like, going on, like, in the characters' lives. Like, I knew that, like, Dr. Bright had this situation with her brother. I knew that Sam was eventually going to fall in love with Mark. I knew that Caleb and Adam were going to fall in love. And I knew that, like, the whole thing that was going to go on with, like, Chloe and Frank, right? And, like, her sort of discovering what happened to him. But, like, I didn't know that we were going to do a second season. And then like, as I was writing it, the first episode that Adam is in, I remember just asking you like, who's somebody that you like that you have good chemistry with? Because Adam's just going to be on the phone and like, he's not going to be in the rest of the season because like, there was no plan to have Adam in the rest of the season. But then I met Misha, who I'm going to be doing a live stream with next month, our wonderful sound designer, Misha Stanton. And they had reached out to me like sort of partway through season 2 to talk about sound designing the show. And it was once they were sound designing that I was like, oh, well, like now I can have like multiple people in the room that like aren't on, like I can have like, you know, lots of people and we can go to different locations. And like, then it became kind of like a different.
Misha was a huge boon for us. Getting Misha really like crucial to, I think, the scaling of the Bright sessions. I remember that too, just being like, whoa, we got a tech person now.
Yeah. Like I have no idea what the show would have been if they hadn't come aboard. Like it just would have stayed in Dr. Bright's office. Right. And like, I think we would have told a lot of the same stories there, but like so much of it I was building on the fly. And actually a couple people had questions about this. Both Mir and Saf submitted questions. Joan was originally built to be more of a villain. Julia, did you know this going into it? Do you remember when that started to shift? Did it change anything about your performance?
Well, I mean, to me, she's never.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I was like,
classic. Charlie feels the same way about Damien. Like she's like, he did nothing wrong.
I mean, you're trying to save the person you love the most in the world.
Yeah.
Sorry if some people get hurt along the way. Right.
But I think all actors have to do that. Like you can't, you can't play that. You have to love your character. You have to see where you're coming from. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Oh my gosh. Charlie's in the chat. Hi, Charlie. Charlie, the wonderful actress who played Damien, who comes in the second season. So we're going to get Charlie in on a later stream. I want to get Charlie and Andrew together to talk about Damien and Mark.
Oh my gosh.
But sorry. Yeah. So Julia, when I sort of started to shift her into more of like a positive force, like that didn't really change much for you.
Yeah. I know that there was in season 1, there were hints of something is off. There's some kind of secret that I think we talked about, and I don't remember when that conversation came into play, but I know in season 1, I didn't know what that secret was. I think I do remember having a conversation about Mark and him being my brother, and it was very vague, but there wasn't a lot of detail yet, but it was all, there was never, I don't recall ever as myself ever being like, wow, Dr. Bright is like out of line now. You know, like
you were always on her side.
Yeah, I feel like maybe with Caleb, there was using Caleb. I think was probably the lowest. Like, ooh, that was probably too much that I remember. But yeah, never villain status. Yeah,
that's very fair. For everyone else, a question from Sophie. Did you, this is a question from Mir. Was there anything that caught you by surprise throughout the development of your characters in recording season 1 or like even into season 2? Anything you didn't expect?
Was I asexual? Was that when it came?
Yeah, but that was a season 2 development. Though we may have talked about it in season 1.
That one was the only moment for me that I was like, okay, this is different than me, Anna. And that was when I kind of was like, okay, I have to like get a little bit more into this headspace, I think. Like, but I don't think I knew anything was coming up with Frank either. So it was always kind of just like, it's always like when you get the script, you're like, oh, that's what I'm doing now, you know? Like,
yeah. What about you guys?
I think for me, it was like figuring out his power. Like on paper, you knew what it was, and it was in the script, and you responded that way. But it became almost kind of a game through the series to where, you know, when you're in a scene with someone, you're supposed to be listening and you're supposed to be reacting from them. And what was really cool is I had even more of a reason to be like, okay, I need to really be paying attention to match what they're emoting, so Caleb can be taking that in, whether he's feeling that or not. It was like this little cheat code. And so I think it was like first episode was like, okay, this is the idea, and I blow up at Dr. Bright. And then I think the second episode was like responding to the secretary, like how happy she was. And like, I started to really figure out, I was like, oh, cool. I get to just like act, like, which sounds stupid, but I get to really just like pick up on people's emotions and really try and do it. And it became like a fun game through the course of all the seasons to really just tap into other people, to like scene partners.
Well, I remember like I was figuring out the Bright Sessions was the first thing I'd ever directed, and like I directed like purely by default, like just because like I was the person who was there. And then I directed, like all the episodes. And I'd like to think that I definitely got better over the years. But like in the early days, like I was constantly giving you Briggon, like, okay, you're feeling this, but this is this person's emotion, but then you're feeling this, and this is your emotion, but then this is sort of under. Like I was giving you impossible directions, and I eventually I think figured out a way to simplify those things. Julia, I always gave you impossible directions, like for the whole thing.
What I was gonna say, you would be like, Julia, you are happy, sad, angry, disappointed, and
you can't show any of it because you have to be very stoic.
And it's one line.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't recall that necessarily. But I don't recall ever being like, what is she saying? I feel like everything you said always made sense.
I also feel like your directing ability is the reason I could show up and cold read. Like it was like, I know Lauren's going to steer me in the right direction. You know, she's going to tell me what to do.
I mean, that makes me so happy because like I truly did not know what I was doing. And I enjoyed recording your episodes, your and Briggon's episodes, like much more from that angle because I didn't have to direct and act and sort of be the engineer,
hard.
You know, when
and
I was
so hard with just audio too, like to direct yourself in audio, it's just really hard.
And knowing that the lawnmower sound out the window, you're gonna have to contend with.
Right. Oh my
God, there was. I think it's Sam's second episode. And no, actually, it was her last episode. It was episode 7. Yeah, there was a lawnmower going out like throughout the entire recording that like I didn't hear, but then showed up on the audio. And like because I wasn't sort of engineering, because I was acting and directing as well. Like I spent like painstakingly like taking it out between every line because I had no idea what I was doing.
My God, can I just say like leaves? We don't need to blow them around.
We don't.
No,
let them decompose.
We don't. If you're leaf blowing, just don't.
Just don't. Please don't. I would have to put up a sign on because my bedroom wall shared a wall with the laundry machines from my apartment building. And so I'd have to put up a sign on the door to the laundry machine being like, I'm recording a podcast. Like, please don't run the laundry between these hours.
Do that? How did we do that for so long?
For a long time.
We never recorded in a real studio. I mean,
we did. Yeah, I guess no, you never did because we did AM Archives and no, I guess we just did AM Archives in a real studio. That was it.
I don't think I ever did Chloe.
And Chloe's not in AM Archives. Yeah. So yeah, we did the entire like first 4 seasons and a lot of the bonus episodes that make up season 5 were recorded in my bedroom too. Okay, we've gotten some great questions in the chat. From Zoe, did any of you guys struggle acting out a particular scene or episode? We touched a little bit on this, but yeah, Briggon, maybe the Safe House episodes were a little bit tough for you.
Yeah.
The panic attacks for me were always hard.
Yeah.
There was one episode that I think I was just crying after we recorded it. I don't remember, but it was something you had written something in Chloe that it was just something that I was going through in my personal life. I think it just crossed over because it's just like your 20s are so hard with. Like my mental health was just a wreck. And it was like, I always get emotional even thinking about it because you were such like a rock for me. And so I think whatever episode, you were like, you're the reason I'm alive, basically. Like, and I feel like I did that episode and I was just like, ugh, like it just, yeah.
I have been listening through like all of the raw audio of the first 3 seasons to get bloopers because we only had bloopers for season 4. And
do we just have her crying?
It's like literally like it's like a 20-minute take because both of us just end up crying and then trying to record and then crying.
Also, how many times? I feel like every time we hung out, it was like we're laughing hysterically. Now we're crying. Now we're laughing again. Now we're crying. I mean, that's the mark of a good friendship. So of course we have a recording of just us saying how much we love each other.
It was like a 6-minute scene, and the take is like 22 minutes.
Oh my God. Oh.
That was sometime in season 3, I think.
I have a similar memory of. It wasn't season 1 because it was with Andrew. Do you remember that being in your apartment?
I also yes.
Eventually just collapsing on the floor and just talking about life for like 2 hours.
Yeah. That is such a vivid memory. Like I remember like, I was leaned up against my bed and you guys were leaned up against my closet doors. And we were literally like just sitting on the floor. Like there were seats in my bedroom, but like, I need to go back and remember exactly what episode that was because what we recorded was like so good because you guys were always so good together.
I feel like it might have been was it our reunion episode, the first time Joan and Mark?
It was, yes.
And I feel like both Andrew and I had separate moments of like, I'm not feeling it, or I feel like I should be feeling something bigger. So I think we both had like different moments of that. And then you just being like, but it sounds great. And then just us eventually being on the floor talking about life and, and careers and personal life stuff. And yeah.
I mean, that's what's wild is like, like anybody that I didn't like, I mean, well, yeah, Otto, you were the only one that I started, already in a close friendship with, and then over the course of the show, like so many people sort of have now become like parts of my life in ways that like I never could have anticipated, which is like so nice. Okay, another question from the chat here. As your characters, what other ability would you have chosen if you'd been able to choose? And Dr. Bright, what would you have picked, even though it wouldn't mean switching? So, like, yeah, if you had to swap out your ability for your character specifically, like, what would you want to give them?
I'm like trying to remember like the bonus episodes and the spinoffs and what
I mean, like whatever you
have.
can dream, whatever you can dream of in terms of powers, like that can exist in the world.
You know what I would love is to be able to communicate. I've like thought about this. I would love to be able to communicate with every person regardless of language. I'd love to be able to speak every language just like that. Just the ability to like talk with people you couldn't.
Wait, do you mean in real life or do we mean in the show?
Let's do both. Yeah. So like that's your real life. But would Caleb want that power too, do you think?
Probably not, because he probably doesn't want to communicate with people. So Briggon would want that. And I'd say like early on, Caleb would probably I mean, it's almost like the bonus episode thing that I co-wrote, the invisible thing. I feel like especially for a boy who doesn't want to contend with emotions or other people, just being able to disappear.
Yeah.
Relatable. I could see that for Caleb.
I could totally see that. That's a good one.
I think I would want something that was like time or space travel-y. Like, I think maybe both for me. And I mean, it's funny for Chloe, I'm like, I feel like it's the perfect power. I just wish I had gotten to use it for more espionage. Wish I had more of a, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm using it to better humanity. I wish I had gone deeper and deeper into, more spying, more nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, it's some sort of time or space travel, teleportation, or some kind of time travel.
I feel like I have stolen this one from something you said in the past, Lauren, but I'm not sure. But
well, she's really litigious, so if you did,
basically the power of like retaining all information. So like anything you read or learn, you retain and you learn. And so that would apply to languages, right?
It also applies to all the stupid shit you've ever done.
Yeah.
That's true. We'll just
remember everything perfectly.
Remembering everything perfectly would be terrible. That's true.
I will say, when I'm playing Fortnite, this is a sidebar. I'm playing Fortnite. If someone says something and then they claim they didn't, I'll clip it and go back. Like you can clip the past like minute of gameplay. You can clip up to like 30 minutes behind. I'll clip it and go back and be like, yes, you did say that. And Ryan was like, I don't think you should have this power. Like, this is not good for you.
You're abusing this power. You're getting out of control.
Yeah. So I think that power for me would be, I would be like, yes, you did say it because I remember everything.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't think I would want, I think that would be bad for my anxiety and for Sam's anxiety. I think I would want, like teleportation. And I think Sam would want empathy. I think she'd like want to be able to like inherently understand other people a lot more. I think that would be like a advantage for her. But Julia, for Dr. Bright, what power would she want, do you think, if she could like pick one?
Well, maybe Damien's power.
Okay.
If you're talking about in the scope of the story, I mean, her goal is very clear. I'm going to save my brother. And after I save my brother is stolen again. So I need to save him again. And if all it takes is me to be able to mind control, quote unquote, mind control these people, the AM, Damien, etc., then that's what it's going to take. Then fine. Yeah.
I feel like she would wield it a bit better than Damien at first,
Sure.
but I think like
but
similarly, she would eventually like just get totally corrupted by it, right?
I think
like,
anyone would get corrupted by that power.
Yeah.
Except maybe Caleb.
Can I just say that I don't think I would? Because one of the most interesting things I think about being alive is not like why people make the choices they do. You know what I mean? Like when someone's like, you know, what other people might see as like unnecessary drama, I'm like, why did they do that? That's fascinating. And so I feel like mind control would be boring to me because I would be like, no, I want to see what you're going to do naturally. I don't want to get involved.
That's a very good point. I think you're right. I would trust you with that power.
Thank you.
The other two of you, I don't know. Okay, here's a question for Julia. Bright Sessions changed my life. Well, I'm so glad, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Julia Morizawa has such a unique voice. It perfectly fits her character. I agree. Was it difficult for you, Julia, to find your voice and pace at first?
I don't think it was difficult to find it. I think, and it's been a while, I didn't do a re-listen for today specifically, so it's been a while since I've listened to season 1. I think I would cringe personally. Well, that's also just the way I am.
No, me too.
It's hard to lose yourself.
Yeah, it's just hard to, especially old work. You're like, I would do it so different now. I feel like everything.
And I think if I had known, like I remember with season 1 very much just leaning into being a therapist as the job description. Like, I have empathy for my patients, but they are patients, and this is a job, and this is a medical profession, and I have to keep it, you know, professional. And also, like, you know, the big thing about therapists who are good at not showing a reaction in any one way that could hurt or, you know, hurt the patient. And not going into it with any of the, like, not knowing the Mark story, not knowing what my ultimate objective was, knowing that if I had known that, but maybe it would have been too much, right? Maybe it would have been like just a mess if I had known all
Julia,
that up front.
Can I give you like some flowers here too? Because like in audio, it's so interesting because knowing you as a person, knowing Dr. Bright, you have this like magical quality to your voice and who you are that I think maybe I'll go out on a leap here and say like that you don't think you overly emote. And what's so interesting is as you have those measured line readings as Dr. Bright, there is still so much like percolating underneath it. It's like this weird magic trick that you do as a person in real life and as Dr. Bright that like, I think in any other actor playing that sort of stoicism, it wouldn't translate over audio. It would sound boring, but like you just have like some quality. And I think it's what makes the Bright Sessions. I think you were the right person for this. And I think you're just
no one else could have done that. I don't think.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And like, I think that is like, it really is a magic trick that you have. And like, it's something too that one of the hardest roles to cast was Mark. Like, I just like truly like didn't know, like, you know, I was like talking to, you know, all these actor friends and sort of like trying to like see him fit into things. And I also wanted to find a voice that was complementary to Julia's. And then Andrew was doing some scene in class because he also was at the studio that Briggon, Julia and I met at. And he has the same thing where the two of you have this thing where you can do like contained anger or like sad frustration where it's like you're even, but you can hear that little tremble in your voice, and it's so good. And like all of the terrible things that Dr. Bright and Mark could go through seasons is because I love hearing you guys do that. And so I was just like, well, how can I make them almost cry but try to hide it? Because it's really, it's just excellent. Okay. Moving back to, I know we only have like 10 minutes left, and so I want to make sure we get
I know, and I have to pee so bad. I'm going to go do it because I'm just going to be thinking about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, do. And we will continue to answer questions. Okay. Oh my gosh, I've totally lost my place in these questions. One of them, oh yeah, okay. So this is from Sophie for everybody. Did you connect with your character in a way that you weren't expecting to? Did some of the actors' traits bleed into the characters? Like we've touched on this a little bit, but like, do you feel like there's like any like sort of morphing in either direction that occurred of like you became more like the character, or the character became more like you?
100%. It's so crazy. Like those early seasons, very like less verbose and kind of, I got to access a little bit. I wasn't typically like that in high school. I was kind of like a theater nerd. So I was like, always look at me.
Really? That's shocking to me.
Shut up. But what's really, really interesting is because you gave him that power, I knew the concept of empathy, and I think I practiced it before. But I think what was really interesting is when you get really great text and you're really forced to like contend with these concepts and really think about how you deal with them as your own self and your real life. I think that's been one of the greatest gifts for me, that like Caleb has bled into me, where I really put empathy as like the standard for me when I'm interacting with people as I like move through life. Like it's really been this gift of like, what would Caleb do, in the sense of like, how would he identify what this person's going through, and how can I like be a good person to them? And then I think like for Caleb, I think it is that personality just kind of like coming out a bit more. Lauren, you and I have talked a bit about like the college tapes and like versus season 1. And that feels really close to who I am, because Caleb's like a little bit of a freaking drama queen in that season. Like he's a little bit of a whiny little bitch in that. And I love it. But it's like he's emotional. That's his key ingredient. So I'd say that's the trade-off for me, I think.
Yeah. Julia?
Yeah. I'm not a quote unquote character actor. If you see me in something or hear me in something, it's probably 90% me to a certain extent, just naturally who I am. And that's like what I have to do. That's the way I work. I have to like find myself in the character. And which is why I bet you if we were to take all the autobiographies for characters I've ever written, there's just going to be a through line in all of them. Mm-hmm. Right. So, I'm trying to think of something the other way, like from Dr. Bright to me, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of, there was some sort of maternal thing that maybe came out of Dr. Bright, especially with Caleb, and then with Mark. I think, it was very much, there was like an older sister, but also like your mom for both of those characters that I hadn't gotten to play before and was still very new to me. And I'm a mom now, but back then I was not yet a mom. So I feel like there was something from Dr. Bright that came into my life with that. Yeah.
I really see that. And like, I think in terms of the other way, like sort of as a writer of like how the characters change, like, I think Anna, like the thing that I wanted to give Chloe that was like, so you is just like your curiosity about the world. And also like just the fact that like what Briggon was describing earlier about like sort of like you just like coming in and sort of like, that was my first impression too. Like we met in a UCB Improv 101 class, and it's just like, Anna's just one of those people where you're like, oh my God, like you just want to lean in and you just want to like sort of like bask in your glow, it's like, and so I think like giving Chloe that kind of thing of just like, oh, like anybody's life that she sort of like comes into contact with, like she unlocks something in each of those people in a way that I think is really great. And then for Caleb and Dr. Bright, like I had an idea of who these people were before casting you guys, and like part of it's like there was a certain morphing that occurred even just as I was writing the first season, where I was like watching you guys in class and writing the first season and sort of being like, I think this is going to be like, if they say yes, this would be the perfect thing. But I think for Caleb just became like somehow even more empathetic. Like you say that, like, you know, you lead more forward with empathy sort of from, you know, from spending so much time with him. But like, I think that like, I don't like that's just like such an inherent part of you, right? That it's like, that is just like Caleb's heart is just like so big because your heart is so big. And then Dr. Bright, just like the resilience that like you like Julie, you're just like such like a pillar of strength. Like anytime I've like ever talked to you about anything, it's just like, yeah, I think that like those characters became like even more empathetic, even stronger, even more resilient because I was like watching the two of you also be people in the world and was just like so inspired by
it's
that.
so embarrassing how much we love each other. Like we like,
I know it's like really earnest.
Like family, it's really earnest, and it's like it's filled with emotion because to know people for 10 years is like, it's just it's you see such change. You know what I mean? To go from, especially the time period in our lives, like, you know, like that you guys are both parents now. Like,
yeah,
it's just it's so. It feels like family, really. Like, even though I'm like literally like, Julie, I'm like, I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like you guys are family members.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally agreed. And actually, that's like a perfect lead into what I think will probably be our final question, which I'm going to try and find in my list of questions. Okay, yes. This is a question from Emily. How has working on the show and playing these characters affected you as creative artists? If it has affected you as creative artists at all? I can. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead, Briggon.
I was gonna say. I mean, it kind of. I came out to LA for movies and TV, and have certainly done that. But what was so crazy is like I didn't think that this was a thing you could do, and it just opened up truly everything in my creative life. I mean, I became a writer because I was like, oh, Lauren did this. I want to try and do this. And so I wrote and I learned how to do that. I became a director and a producer. I do voice in fiction podcasts and audiobooks and different mediums. And it's like, it really to me to go back to that like acting class in those early days of being in your apartment, all of us together, and just again to echo what Anna said of like where we've all sort of gone. And I don't know, it's wild to me. It has given me every single opportunity in my life, and it's like shaped. It's so weird. I have a one of those like portal things with photos, and I'm talking to you, and there's photos of you guys that keep like going by. There's a Bright Sessions thing over there. It's just, it has colored my life in so many beautiful ways and like steered me in so many wonderful ways. And yeah, I think I'm a multi-hyphenate creative person truly because of the Bright Sessions and the example that you set that you could just like freaking do it. You just do the thing. So yeah.
That's kind of exactly that's really what I took from it. Was I was just like, I just feel like I watched you create an empire. Like I watched you just create your own reality. You know what I mean? Like you basically, I mean, to me, you invented podcasting. Like to me, you're the queen of podcasting. Like I remember we went to London and you like knew all these people. Like, I don't know, I guess it just to watch you go from like truly Steve Jobs in the garage, you know what I mean? To like it was like, wow, that you can just do that. Like all you have to do is like work hard, set a plan for yourself. You know what I mean? And I know it wasn't as easy as I'm making it sound. It wasn't easy at all, but like just the fact that I don't know. I feel sometimes like I can be very flighty and not, have a lot of too many ideas and not enough time and whatever. And like, I think it was just so impactful to be like, oh, you just set your mind to something and then you just do it. Like, and that's it. I think that is what the biggest impact that it's had on me is that you were like, I wrote this little script and here you go, guys. And then it became what it did. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, there's two things that I want to say. One is coming off of that. What I love about Lauren and your journey with the Bright Sessions is I felt like, and this may not be the way you feel and all the struggles and everything, but I feel like you're such a a lovely example of starting with just an idea, like in the garage, right? And it building, like every step got you higher up the ladder and gave you more opportunities. And it really built to opening doors for you and leading to the next job and the next opportunity. But at the same time, you're also a really great person.
Yes.
So it's not like
I didn't mean to
Yes.
turn into like a compliment
No,
fest
but
for
I
me.
know, but we've all had one. Everyone's had one. Yes. Go on, Julia.
you're not that person in the industry where you're like, oh, but then like she's kind of an asshole. That's
No,
how
she will
went up.
literally she'll let anyone ask her questions, and she does not gatekeep anything she learned. She's like, I did it, and you can too. Like even when you came back to LA and everyone was hanging out, I was just like, damn, this girl rocks. Like,
yeah, like you are the person who like I know you deserved it, and I don't feel shitty about myself seeing you, right? Seeing you make it, right? And I don't know if you've ever thought of yourself as making it, right? So like, what does that even mean? There's always like the grass is always greener, at least for people like me. But the other thing I wanted to say that this brought me in my creative life was the realization that I don't have to work with assholes. Like having this opportunity where literally there was never a negative experience for me in the whole process of recording, of going to conventions, of being on planes with you guys, of staying in hotels with you. There was never a negative experience at all, which I don't think has ever happened like on any other project. And just that sort of like idea that you can actually just work with good people and make good things.
I that means so much to me to hear, because like I think that's been my biggest takeaway, like creatively, is like, I mean, like I at times through the last 10 years have felt like I've made it, and other times I have not felt like I've made it, right? Because it's like it's like I really feel a sense of accomplishment around like I had this tiny idea and I got these amazing people to agree to do it, and like then it grew into this huge thing. But now, like every time I have a tiny idea, it's like you're starting from zero again, right? Like I kind of expected it to be starting a little bit higher up on the ladder, but it's like no, in terms of like getting listeners, in terms of getting like ad support, whatever else, in terms of turning it into like a real job, it's like the same that it was in 2015 in a lot of ways. But of course, sort of in the interim, I've had the opportunity to like write books and work on other people's podcasts and like all that kind of stuff. And I think, Julia, I have a kind of similar feeling, and not to say that like I've never had bad experiences working on projects through the years, because I've been a sort of a gun for hire producer for a ton of stuff, and like those things can vary, and mostly I just never talk about those projects, so you wouldn't have heard about them. But like anytime sort of like I have the choice to like make my own thing, or like to like just work with somebody else on a podcast, like everybody's always so nice. And like I really like, I do want to, I know we've mentioned it already, but like I do want to shout out Welcome to Night Vale, right? Because it's like that was the first show that I listened to, and like one of my fondest memories of any convention ever is being in the Sheraton bar with you, Anna, and Jeffrey Craner watching news bloopers and like crying. We were crying. And just like Jeffrey and Joseph and their whole community is like so great, so supportive, and like they really, I think, like we're so good about sending the ladder back down, which is like, why? And I am going to plug something here right now, which is atypicalartist.co/resources, because it's like all of these resources about how to make an audio drama are just like there for free that you can read, because like I want people to make audio drama. And I think that is like a sort of creative aspect of myself that I didn't know going in, is like how passionately I would feel about like the health of a medium overall, and like sort of like making it accessible to people and like making it a place that's like welcoming. And then like I think just the other thing is just like trusting your collaborators and like getting to just like soak them up. And like anytime I've ever been like on a set or a project or whatever where like it's so clear that the actor or the sound designer or the composer or whatever has a great idea and they're just like not being listened to, I'm just like, you're missing out on everything. Like your collaborators are your like biggest strength. And so I just feel very lucky to have found you all and to be here with you now.
And not to be corny, but I think also that energy from the fans too, like the energy from the fans is really, really loving, and really it's always been so, the Bright Sessions fans are they're like we are, you know what I mean? They're sensitive. they want to hear. Yeah, I don't know. I've really appreciated that. I've never had a bad experience with the fan.
Totally. One of my earliest memories of sort of, I remember the first time I saw fan art, and I remember the first time I got like a very emotional email from someone. And I was sitting in the Fairfax library in LA because my apartment didn't have air conditioning. And so like I would go and work there during the summers. And I was just like crying in the middle of the library because this email was like so moving.
I feel like you've had to hold a lot of that because you created a really like emotional, special show. And I feel like people often bare their soul to you. Am I wrong?
But yeah, they do. But I find that really special. Like, you know, and like if you've ever bared your soul to me in person and I've been like weird or have said the wrong thing or something, like I'm so sorry. I just like am an awkward, anxious person.
Like I'm not a real therapist.
And also like Sam's like social anxiety is like very much my, like I'm not playing that up. Like that is very, very real. But like,
Panic notice
I really, yeah, all panic notice go as advertised. I really do appreciate hearing all of those things. And I think like what's so amazing is that like we, you know, heard from listener Damien earlier about how they met their boyfriend through Bright Sessions fanfic. Like you guys have become a community unto yourselves that are like supporting each other and becoming friends and like exchanging ideas and being creative. And like, I just never could have anticipated that. And it's like incredibly special to me. And if I talk about it anymore, I'm going to cry.
Okay, I have to say one thing then, which is that I saw a comment that said that they want a Lauren Shippen The Pit podcast, and I'm just letting you know right now that I will
Listen, literally my phone background right now.
It's no Wiley, is it?
I've been in a conversation now. I'm ready to do the Pit Talkback podcast with you. So you just email my agent and we'll get
I honestly like I think that Max should like hire me to do like a talk show with
Max,
because like
right now
I have gotten like no lie 27 people into the show.
Yes. You should
doing the work.
You should be getting residuals from the marketing team because
that's really the takeaway is watch the Pit. No, but yeah, any final thoughts, things like places that people can find you, projects that you want to like share with people that maybe they haven't heard or seen?
Anna has a movie coming out.
That's right.
Not for the Bright Sessions fans.
No.
It's going to be in Final Destination Bloodlines in IMAX May 16th.
I am scared to go see it in theaters, but I'm going to go see it in theaters.
I couldn't finish the trailer. I could not finish the trailer.
Here's the nice thing about Final Destination is that it's not like Saw or something where people are torturing each other. It's like this sort of happenstance. So the violence is, I think, a little easier to handle because it's not malicious. It's just like, whoa, look what happened.
I mean, Final Destination, like anytime I'm behind a truck that's got something on the back of it on the highway, I just think of Final, and I just move over to a different lane. The impact that it's had.
Yeah.
When does that come out, Anna?
May 16th.
May 16th.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Briggon, anything you want to share, folks?
I will plug because I was just texting with Gabrielle before I like hopped on here. Gabrielle Urbina, Wolf 359, that whole team, they made the show hit singles. It's on Audible. It's out now. I'm one of the main cast members in it. It is one of the coolest, proudest things I've ever been a part of. And check it out because
it's so good.
Went into it with like, okay, this is this thing, and now everyone's feeling a little greedy, and we're like, oh, second season would be really cool, but you know that's out of our hands unless people listen and rate. So check it out; it's really good. It's really good.
Hit singles on Audible. Yeah. It's so good. Julia,
I have been developing a feature for the last year or two. It's called Something About the Tide. And we are in the process of trying to secure financing. But the way, all you can help is, find us on Instagram or what I'm like barely on social media now, but we do have an Instagram, Something About the Tide. And we do have a website. We have a pitch video like on YouTube and on Vimeo, and just getting sort of those those likes and those follows and whatever supposedly is so important. But yeah, just getting the word out about that as we try and secure the financing so we can shoot it. And then my animated short film, Dragonfly, is now available on Amazon. So you can just rent it or buy it there or on Prime Video, whatever it is. So that is available there. Yeah.
Oh, everything you guys are doing, it's just like so amazing. And I always just like, I feel so lucky to get to like just enjoy the art that you make as as just like an audience member. Yes, in terms of links, if you are currently subscribed to like either the Atypical Artist newsletter or the newsletter that was for this stream, I will send out links of all of this stuff probably tomorrow or Monday. And you can just go to atypicalartist.co/10years to find the sign up for that newsletter. So I'll send all the links through there, as well as the date and time of our next live stream, which is actually going to be May 16th at 1 p.m. with Misha Stanton. So it's great. You can come to Brightstone's live stream and then go and see Final Destination right now. Yes. And have just an awesome day.
Just a perfect pairing.
This is a perfect pairing.
Misha and Lauren, and then Final Destination.
And Final Destination. And thank you all so much for being here. Thank the three of you so much for being here and hanging out. We are going to be doing these for the rest of the year through October, one for each season. So definitely like, go to that URL, sign up, and you'll get links to all of that as those things happen. We also have some new merch that you can find the merch button up on the top right of both the Atypical website and the Bright Sessions website. And yeah, in terms of my other stuff, like just Atypical has it all. So, you can find it there. Thank you all so much. Charlie, I see you in the chat. We love you.
We love you, Charlie.
And we're going to get you on a live stream in a couple months. And thank you all so much for coming. And as always, stay strange.